What if we could look at one of the oldest questions in human history? What happens after we die? Not just as a matter of faith, but as a problem of pure logic. Well, today we're going to dive into a really unique interpretation of an ancient text that tries to do exactly that.
This question, right here, it's universal. It's been asked for thousands of years, and it's full of doubt, a little bit of hope, and, of course, the great unknown. But the text we're looking at today gives an answer that unfolds in a really fascinating way.
So the answer isn't a simple yes or no. Instead, the source presents something called a logic mirror. It's an answer that's designed to reflect the question itself, to use the person's own existence as the ultimate proof. And to understand it, we're going to need a key.
Now, this key is a special analytical framework called System 19, and it suggests a way to read the original Arabic text not just for its surface meaning, but for its hidden functional logic. It's the tool we'll use to unlock the mirror we're talking about.
Here's the core idea, and it's a big one. System 19 treats the original Arabic of this text like it's computer code. Every single letter isn't just a sound, it's a specific command, an instruction for what the system calls a cosmic computer.
Okay, so take a look at this. For example, the letter meme isn't just M. It's seen as the operating system itself. Kaf acts like a data file. Lam is like a data transmission channel. And Dal is the command you'd use to access an archive. Think of these as the basic building blocks of the code we're about to run.
All right, so we've got our key. Now let's use it on the first part of this puzzle, the human question, the doubt itself.
System 19 doesn't read this as an emotional question. It sees it as a perfectly logical software query, structured kind of like an if-then statement in programming. If death happens, then will restoration be executed? So let's start with the if condition, death or mut in Arabic. Now, traditionally, that means the end of life. Simple enough. But in System 19, its function is purely technical. In this framework, mut isn't about deletion. It's just a change of state. The command is basically close the currently running program and move the user's entire record into a long-term archive. The data isn't destroyed, it's just saved.
Okay, so if death is really just archiving, what about the second part of the query, being brought out, or ukhraj? This is the restoration part.
Well, the system reads this as a technical export function. It locates the archived image or file, routes it back into the main system, and puts it into an active running state. It's basically like restoring a file from a backup drive. And just like that, we've translated this massive existential question into a technical one. The query is no longer will I cease to exist, it's now if my file is archived, is a future export on the schedule. It's a much more concrete problem to solve.
So that's one side of the mirror. Now let's look at the other side. Let's break down the system's response, which is basically the engine that provides the proof.
And the response is pretty brilliant. It doesn't just say yes, it totally flips the script. It basically challenges the user by saying, you're asking the wrong question, because you're ignoring the most important piece of evidence you already have. The entire proof hangs on this one command, yod score, which we normally translate as to remember. But as you might have guessed, in System 19, remembering is an active computational process.
So here, remembering actually means executing a command. It's like you send a query to the memory return gate. That's our letter dal again, and it pulls data from the deep archive right into your current awareness. The proof, the system says, is already in your own internal storage.
And what is that proof? What's the file it's telling you to retrieve? It's the memory of creation itself, which is all coded in the word khalaqnahu. And in this system, creation isn't some vague, magical event. It's described as a structured, technical process. An image is transmitted through a channel, it's loaded into a data package. It's a lot like compiling a complex piece of software from its source code.
And this is the absolute core of the argument. The system is prompting the user to run a memory check on something way more complex that's already happened. The fact that they were assembled from a state of literally being not a thing.
And this, right here, brings us to that aha moment. The logic mirror finally becomes crystal clear when we put the two processes, creation and restoration, right next to each other.
So look here. On one side, you have creation A, compiling a program from scratch, from nothing. On the other side, you have creation B, restoring that exact same program from a backup file. The logical question is, which one of those is actually more complicated?
This is the beautiful conclusion of the logic mirror. If the first event, the vastly more complex one of compiling a person from nothing, has already happened, then the second, much simpler event, Just restoring that person from an archive isn't just possible, it's logically trivial in comparison.
Let's just zoom out for a final thought. This whole method of analysis, it kind of pushes us to rethink not just this one text, but the very nature of language itself.
What we've looked at today is just one system for decoding this kind of logic, and it leaves us with a really compelling question. What other structures, what other layers of meaning might be hiding in plain sight in the languages we use every single day, just waiting for the right key to unlock them?